Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. My apologies for my lateness. Just in a meeting and I've just ran over a little bit, but we're here. We've already got loads of you watching. I've seen the comments already, looking fresh. If anybody wants to jump in, this is our fans forum, so the show is yours. We've got a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, but the show is yours, guys. This is what I want to do every Monday night. Talk about issues on and off the pitch. There's always stuff to talk about, with Villa. And I've pinned the link to our chat here at the StreamYard. If you do want to come on and chat to me and Max, make your point and jump off, or stick around for a bit, please click the link and jump in. We don't bite. Get involved. Guys, the growth has been amazing. We finally hit 2,450 today, which is brilliant. Thank you so much for your support. Hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Help us continue to grow. Like I say, your support has been tremendous. And the comments we get are just fantastic. So keep doing that. If you do want to donate to the channel, hit the $sign. And if you do want to become a member, hit the join button. It's just $1.99 a month to become an official Villa Park Pod follower. So let's get in the comments first. So we've got Gary says everyone must have gone to bed. No, we're here. We're here. Bit like Fulham's defense, says Deco. What was the final score? I know it was 2-0.
2-0 finished.
Did it? Oh, well. Easy win for Chelsea in the end. Gary, hello. Deontay, hello. Hope everyone's doing well. Rachel, hello, Rachel. Great to have you in. Dunk, again, great to have you in, mate. Junior's in. Hi, everyone. AVFC US, Gaza, Rich, great to have you in, guys. Jonathan, evening fella, still buzzing from Saturday. Absolutely, mate. What a win. Dream Villain, hey all, how we doing? Great to have you on board. Tombo, do Ollie Watkins. Yes. He's done very well. He's doing very well. So we'll get your questions in the chat. I'll pin them and we'll come to them. But I did want to cover obviously England squad, Max, coming up on Thursday, England squad announcement, and I did want to cover a couple of things relating to Villa players. Gareth Southgate was obviously at the game on Saturday. Who was he watching? Was he watching Lewis Dunk? Was he watching Danny Welbeck?
I hope he was watching Lewis Dunk.
Or was he watching Ezri Konsa and Ollie Watkins? Was he watching Jacob Ramsey? But yeah, I guess the question is has Ollie Watkins and has Ezri Konsa done enough from their perspective to get called up to the England squad?
Well, in any other manager in there, is like, yes, obviously, I think so. But you never know with Southgate. Because part of me always seems to think he might just take a punt at some point and just go take out Maguire and Phillips and these kind of players and just go for something a bit different. But it never seems to happen. So I don't really know. You'd like to think Konsa especially. But considering there's Nketiah in the squad last time out and stuff like that, surely you got to imagine Watkins has got a pretty decent shout now with 4 goals in 2 games, especially given Southgate was at the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't deny a hat trick. I guess as a little like the fact that the squad's announced on Thursday, I don't think he could have done much more. And especially Wilson's injured, isn't he? I think Wilson's out injured, so that opens up a spot there. Rashford doesn't necessarily play as the forward. Sometimes it's funny with Rashford because sometimes he picks him as a winger when he wants to, and then sometimes he picks him as the centre forward when he wants to.
He's also been choosing Trent as a midfielder recently as well.
Trent as a midfielder, yeah. And then we've got the likes like with Ezri Konsa, you've got Tomori, who gets in, who doesn't ever play though. You've got Gahey, you've got obviously Maguire, you've got Lewis Dunk.
Colwell's been getting in.
Yeah, Colwell. Yeah. So who? I guess in that situation, does he finally get rid of Maguire, or does he said, "Oh, I've had a look at Dunk, and I want to pick Ezri instead."
I mean, well, I can't say that I've watched, other than when they've been on TV. I can't say I've watched a lot of Dunk personally. But from what you see of him when I do watch, he's just good with the ball at his feet. But I feel like that's every defender at the minute. I think anyone that's of a certain age is pretty much that kind of player nowadays in terms of being able to play it from the back. So I don't think it's anything special. I just think it's Maguire that's got to go out. I just don't understand the. I understand that he likes having a core squad and this and that, whatever he said he likes to say, but there's got to come a point when it becomes stupid enough to
Well,
not.
Maguire, let's say Maguire, Phillips, Henderson. How can you, in the right mind, justify picking them when one's playing in the Saudi League and two of them hardly get a game?
But it's always been his thing about, well, if you're not
England.
playing in the Premier
Yeah.
League, you ain't good enough.
Yeah.
Look at Tomori. Tomori was one of the best centre backs in the league. Oh, he literally won the award for best centre back in Serie A when AC Milan won the league like 2-3 seasons ago, and still didn't get a look in for that season. So, but now Jordan Henderson's gone there, playing in front of 900 people with Steven Gerrard at the helm, and all of a sudden he's still in there, and he's not playing either because they're all not playing. The like Maguire's coming on against Scotland for 20 minutes, but then it just doesn't make sense to me personally.
Yeah. I will get to the comments. A few people in the comments shouting out Watkins. I'll have my piece. I'll say my piece. With regards to Ramsey though, like someone's put who was it? Gary said, got a feeling Ramsey may get a call up. Southgate was with under 21 manager Lee Carsley. Do you think he's got a shout for this one? I know he came on, had a really good cameo, but do you think it's maybe a little bit too soon for him?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's only played, what, 2-3 games since his injury, so I can't see it yet. I think if he returned from his injury a bit sooner, then he probably had a shout, but he hasn't even played for Villa properly yet, so I can't imagine that he gets in just yet. I mean, if he does, it just shows what a farce his squad selection is. A player that can't get in the squad when he's in top form, and then if he gets in now when he's not barely played, it would be prime Southgate, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he'd justify it by saying, "Oh, we took a look at him at the end of last season. He nearly got in the squad. We wanted him to go away with the under 21s. Then he got injured, so that would be kind of his justification." But yeah, it maybe is a little bit too early. But I wouldn't discount him. I really wouldn't. The only thing is there's so many players in and around that left right hand side in attack. It is going to be very competitive. I'm just going to shout out Rod, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, mate. Cheers for doing these as always. Dina deserves a lot of love. He does. He absolutely does. He's doing well at the moment. So let's get into the comments. So what have we got?
Nketiah is Bobbins, I've seen.
Yeah, I know. Jonathan is a mate of mine. So thanks for watching, mate. Where's the fella who doesn't rate Ollie, as in Sam? Who else can we get who could guarantee 15 Prem goals with his work rate? Well, that's the point. I don't. Well, one is it. Are we guaranteed 15 goals with Watkins? And two, yes, we absolutely do appreciate his work rate. I guess the question that I think that Sam raises is not that the fact that he isn't a good player, it's the fact that is he good enough for where Villa want to get to in potential, and is he gonna if we're talking about how great he is now after he scored a hat-trick on Saturday, what about the next time he goes on a run of not scoring for 12 games? That's the question. Are we going to turn around and say, "Oh, we'll go on another run," or are we going to say, "Actually, we need to get someone else in because we can't keep going through these periods"? That's the point. Now, we could argue all day whether every striker goes through bad runs. We know that strikers do. We could say, do we need to get better players around him who will score goals when he's not scoring? Now, it looks like we get into that situation where we are, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that Ollie Watkins goes on runs where he scores goals regularly, and then he doesn't score goals for a good period of time. We know that happens with him. It's whether you as a Villa fan can take that if we want to finish in the top, if we want to push for top four. What are your thoughts on that, Max?
I think it doesn't become a problem. Well, I've always said, as long as other people are scoring, it isn't so much of a problem for me anyway. Because Sam's argument's always been that with his purple patches, almost has been he said he'll score 15 in 20 games, but then won't score for the next 20, which is a fair point. I've always thought that it is a fair point to make. I just think as long as other people are scoring, like you've got Louis scoring more, you've obviously got Diaby coming in, you've got different goals are coming from everywhere at the minute. But if it's when those goals dry up that becomes the problem, but at the minute it's not so pressing because obviously the goals are coming from elsewhere.
Yeah. Also says Konsa has to get a look in. Absolutely agree. Tombo says Watkins isn't good enough to what England want to be. I actually semi agree with that. I think any striker that's going into the England squad is basically going to get about 10 minutes if they're lucky. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you might as well pick anybody because Harry Kane's going to play. So it's like I say, it's great for a player to get into the squad, but they're just going to play second fiddle to Harry Kane, aren't they, Max?
Yeah, I mean, well, you can't exactly begrudge anyone being second fiddle to Harry
No,
Kane.
of course not.
But
Of course not. But like I said yesterday, and the clip that you set up, when you were playing the likes of Australia or Malta or Liechtenstein or San Marino or someone, even the likes of Ukraine, what are you going to learn? What else are you going to learn any different from Harry Kane playing?
No,
Have you got a funny comment?
I know. I'm just looking at Gaz Oaks saying we've lost the argument now. Now recording. We knew it wasn't even us that were saying that we didn't like him.
Well, it's fine. Look, everybody's entitled to an opinion. That's why we love it. That's why we love it.
Oh, yeah, I do.
It's Gary. It's Gary. Gary. Look, everyone's arguing amongst themselves. This is what we love. This is what we love.
I mean, with about Kane, I think it's I can't remember who. I think it might be like a Gary Lineker or an Alan Shearer quote or something like that, where they're saying it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Not the big players want to play in the games against smaller teams to get their goals up, and every game for England counts. So I think it's that kind of mentality that you need. But at the same time, Southgate can't go ahead and say these players don't have the experience to play, and then not give anyone any games. Doesn't quite make sense, does it?
It's hilarious when he does stuff like that. I've got to go through the comments. Southgate must have been neutered. He's got none to take the risks. Yeah, absolutely. Tombo, you lads can't bash Watkins and say he should be picked for England. It's laughable. We can. I mean, look, England will always pick strikers. Like they have to pick 4 or 5 strikers. Like with Watkins is a streaky striker, yeah, but at the moment he's probably like the third best in England at the moment. You could say like you've obviously got Kane, you've got Wilson, who I do think is a better goal scorer than Watkins, and you've got Ollie and then Nketiah. You've got Ivan Toney. Like, is Ivan Toney better than Ollie Watkins when he's fit? Probably.
Yeah.
So yeah. So like of course you're going to say that someone's good enough for England, but they might not. We might still criticise them for Villa. That's just the way it goes. Deco, even Talk Sport and vloggers are talking about Konsa the way we have for years now. Safegate will pick Maguire. Absolutely. Soupy Marks, I thought you might have tried to coax Sam with a bit of cheese. Yeah, bit of humble pie, mate. Bit of humble pie. He'll be back. Gary, problem is drop off from Kane is massive. Watkins and Nketiah, Toney, Sterling, etc. need too many chances to be international class. Yeah, I think Tony's a good striker. But as you've highlighted, they don't get enough chances. Deco said, sorry, mate. Deco said, Nketiah shouldn't be anywhere near that squad, and then Nketiah is overrated, said Duncan. Sorry, mate. You go.
Well, I'm just responding to that one about the drop-off being huge. But the difference is Harry Kane is probably the best striker in the world. So the drop-off is always going to be huge. Like, you can't be, to compare to Harry Kane is nearly impossible unless you name unless like you don't, and doesn't, I don't even know what I just don't understand that one
I get
personally.
what I get you. I think where you won't remember this, mate, but when back in the heyday of strikers in the sort of mid to late 90s, you had you had better strikers than we have at the level below Kane. So better strikers than Watkins, Tony, Nketiah, uh, Wilson, miles better. Not even getting anywhere near the squad. You had the likes of you had Shearer, you had Cole, you had Ian Wright, you had Les Ferdinand, you had Robbie Fowler, you had Michael Owen bursting through, you had Teddy Sheringham. All these players, and I probably not even Chris Sutton, even all these players I'm talking about, and you could only pick four of them, and you had strikers that scored 25, 30 goals a season not getting in the England squad. So I think we always have to be careful of comparing eras, but yeah, the dearth of strikers is one of it, particularly
I
like
do,
for
I do.
England.
A lot of the time, though, now it's one. Most teams play one striker, so
Yes,
where
yes,
like before, clubs needed four strikers a season, if not five. But now
yeah,
clubs don't. They look at us. We've gone into a season with just two recognised strikers, so
yeah,
there is less
yeah,
chances for them. That's why it's different. It's not
yeah.
because it's not necessarily because there's a lack of them anymore. It's because there's less need for them.
Well, yeah, goals are spread. You play 4-3-3. You know, they play all these hybrid formations. I mean, it's not that much different to how teams used to operate. I mean, England in Euro '96 played 3-5-2. But yeah, I definitely take your point. Tombo says Ramsey needs to get 100% fit. Yep, David said Nketiah is an average Premier League player. Deco said, I'm torn on Ramsey. He hasn't been fit for long. We don't want everyone to see how good he is. He's ours, yes, but then he could be quality. Yeah, you don't want him getting his head turned. Man City coming in. David Cave, Ramsey too early. If he plays more for Villa, maybe next year. Adamski said Ramsey to get included so as to get him used to the full England experience, maybe. Gaz Oak says, good evening, lads. Sam's still hiding. Yeah, you could say that. Jonathan says Southgate has his favourites. Consistency is very useful at international level, but Maguire and Phillips especially should be on borrowed time. Both should really be looking for new clubs. We'll see. We'll see how it goes with them. It's hard, isn't it? Because they're on big wages where they are. Martin said, "Looking good tonight, lads. Cheers, mate." Uh, that is Martin Senior as well. Kay says, "Can you honestly you'd like any Villa players going away at the minute with the injuries, limited options at the minute?" That's a good question, actually. I mean, I was going to ask you that, Max. Would you say it's actually better if they don't go?
I've always thought it's a 50-50. I think it depends who it is sometimes because, like, when Grealish was in the form he was and he wasn't getting picked, I remember thinking I'd just love to see him play for England and that kind of thing. But at the minute, I don't. I'm not. I mean, I don't. I just don't enjoy international football unless it's a tournament. So I'm never really that like in tune to it. So I'm not
Invested,
really.
yeah.
But I know like Louise hasn't been picked for however many seasons now and stuff like that. But I feel like the players play for it. I feel like it's a massive thing for the players, and if they're in a better frame of mind because they're being picked internationally, there's always a chance of injury. They could get injured for Villa, so I don't think they're being sent. Like I understand what people are saying in terms of they're playing more games and stuff like that, but I feel like it also works the other way that they get that buzz off playing for their country. I look at
Yeah.
Luis. Luis is posting his Instagram with his name and his nationality underneath. There's like a
Yeah,
like
I mean,
so,
it is a real honour for Brazilians to get into the squad. It is a real honour. I was having an argument with a Newcastle fan about Luis and Bruno and who's better. But yeah, I was going to say something about the England international situation, but it'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think you're right in terms of that kind of potential injury, but also, oh yes, that's what I was going to say. I think Watkins wants to get in because it probably adds another 10 grand a week onto his new contract.
yeah.
never, never miss an opportunity with players wanting to get in the international squad because
Yeah.
it'll get their agent an extra commission and it'll get them extra 10 grand a week on their paycheck. So that's another reason why they want to get in. Rod says, is Watkins good enough? Yes. Do we have a backup if he gets injured? No. That's very true. Conser playing well. Is he international class? I don't think he is, says David. Interesting. I think he deserves a shot. Deco said, how many has Duran got? Yeah, he's got 3 at the minute. Jonathan said it with regards to Sam. My point is, who can we get who is better than Ollie? He'll be streaky forever. I think like 95% of forwards. Yeah, but I guess that's the challenge for Monchi, isn't it? Like, and the challenge for Ollie Watkins. He either needs to keep improving and get more consistent, or that's what we're gonna have to go for. Gazo said, "There's nothing more I hate than the is he good enough to where we want to get to argument. Take your L's, lads." Well, look, mate, that's what we've got to say. Like, if you want to continue to improve as a football club, you've got to look at where players can get to. Like when I was a coach, that's what you want to do. You can't just keep with the same players. You've
We've done
got
it for
to
years.
you've got to look at where they can improve. If I'm sure Emery as a coach, I'm sure the coaching staff around Ollie Watkins will say, this is where you need to improve your game. Go off and do it. There's individual stuff that he will be doing on his finishing. I've seen pictures of him in pre-season working with an individual coach on his finishing. That's great. That's brilliant. That hopefully makes him more calm in certain situations. There's the strength and conditioning that he'll work on, and then as a club, there'll be targets that the manager has to hit, and he will have to assess every player within that squad and say, are they good enough for what my objectives are and for where we as a club want to get to? That's just a fact of life. That's just what has to happen.
But that's how football works. I mean, even look as far back as even just when we got promoted, and we chose, rather than taking Jednak and Whelan and these kind of players up with us, we released them and took the gamble on 100 million worth of 15 new players or whatever it was in that summer, because we were going to be worse off with the old guard than we were going to be with a set of new players. It's just how you got to be ruthless, especially at the top level. Look at Man City. If a player wants to leave, they bin them off and they're going to get the next best thing, and it works. You can't just sit on.
Look at what Mikel Arteta's done with Aaron Ramsdale.
Yeah, you can't just sit. You can't as much as you've got your players that you like, and there's McGinn, and we've got that. You can't if McGinn he's been in good form this season, but towards parts of last season he was out of it completely. And if he'd been like that for a year, 2 years, you can't just sit and carry on having him play just because of who it is. At some point you've got to take that. You've got to look at it and say we could do better here, and that's how it always is going to be. And if that's what, look at Wolves. That's what happens when you don't change those players just for the sake of it. You get worse, because then you end up with a squad of these players that you don't need anymore.
Yeah. Agreed. You know, Alex Ferguson used to be the master at it. You know, Yap Stam, all the Man United fans, again before your time, but all the United fans were saying he's made a terrible mistake. Why has he got rid of Yap Stam, best defender in Europe? Brings in Vidic. Him and Ferdinand are the best central defensive partnership for about 5 years. Look, it happens. Obviously, it's not our job to do that, but you know, we are by proxy the managers of the club. You know what I mean? Heralio Gomez says, if Watkins scores 20 goals this season, he gets the hand of my daughter 30 goals. I can't really read that. I'm sorry, can't read that. Rod said, arguably we had a perfect second striker in Ings, but now we don't miss him.
No,
Exactly.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. Dunk says, Emery's system has one striker. We need more consistency. Nothing has changed in that regard. At Dream Villain said, eventually we will have to get an elite striker. All of Watkins' good points, but not consistent enough throughout the season. Gaz says, only Salah and Haaland have more goal contributions in the last 12 months. Yeah, well, look, he's done fantastically well. Gary, to wind it up even more, Watkins was lucky. Watkins' hat-trick was lucky. Deflection and a miss kick, just not a finisher. Rod said, England isn't good enough for where I want them to be. Exactly. Yeah, Gaz, I know you get, I know, mate, I know you're getting wound up. Deco said, I just can't get excited about England these days. Yeah, not until tournaments, that's the thing. David said, Watkins will always miss more than he scores. He's not a natural finisher. That said, he scores 15 season. Name a player who scores 20 plus who we could afford, who isn't one. Yeah, I absolutely agree. For what we've got at the moment, he is what we need. He's exactly what we need, and he's excellent. He's an excellent player. excellent player. With regards to strikers, I'm sure Man City fans were criticising Erling Haaland against Wolves on Saturday because he had about 5 touches of the ball and 1 shot. I'm sure Man City fans were criticising him. That's just what we are as football supporters, right? We are always going to criticise a striker because they're the ones who ultimately win you the points. We're always going to criticise a goalkeeper if they let one go through the hands. I'd say to my son, he's a goalkeeper, I say, you could make 10 saves in the game, right? And it could be the last minute and a shot comes in and you let it through your hands and it goes in. Everyone's going to blame you. They're not going to remember about the 10 shots that you saved before. They're just going to blame you for the goal that you let in. That's how it works. That's just how it works. So if a striker misses 4 chances in the game, he's going to get criticised. That's literally how it works. Rod says some international football is trash. It matters to players' careers. I respect that. I think it's crap. Club football is all I care about. I think a lot of people say that. I mean, someone gave Cash man of the match yesterday. I can see the agenda on this pod. There's no agenda at all, mate. No agenda. I gave Watkins man of the match. I think regarding Matty Cash, I think it was more to do with the expectation that Mitoma would absolutely tear him a new one. I think, but because he coped with him so well down that, and he was such a threat down that right hand side, I think that was more to do with the expectation of the level of his performance, of what we thought, how we thought he would do in that game, and then actually how he came out of that game. But yeah, I think Watkins 100%, 100% man of the match. There's no
Just
doubt
because
about it.
Watkins was good, other players were quite good as well. So
well, yeah, I mean, we went through. I literally went through. Who did I?
every single player,
I highlighted Cash,
everyone,
Torres, McGinn,
Louise,
Louise,
Kamara.
Ramsey, and Ollie Watkins, and I saved Ollie Watkins till last because I was like, we've got to save the best till last. So, come on, Gaz, give us a bit of credit, mate. Dream says Kane only top scorer for England as he scores against the Minnows and goes missing in big games. Adamski said we have goals coming from everywhere, which is better than relying on one player. 100% agree. Wilson is made of pasta, as Deco. Rachel said absolutely. As agreeing with Adam, it negates all his barren spells. 100%, and that's where we've improved. You know, and Ramsey coming back into form will absolutely help with that. Aurelio Watkins was involved in the 3 he didn't score. Yeah, great shout. Aaron's in the house. Wagwan boys. Southgate would pick a person with bad arthritis rather than a Villa. Yeah, mate, I agree. Richo in the house, Everton fan. Evening, RIP Francis Lee. Got to watch him play at Goodison Park, 60s and 70s. Did have a reputation for diving. Yes. Yeah, rest in peace, Francis Lee. But yeah, he was the original diver, I believe, Max. The original diver. So when anyone says about diving is just a modern thing, Francis Lee was the first one who did it in the 60s and 70s. Rub says Maguire can always play up front. He did versus Palace. Southgate doesn't need to call up any strikers. Max is right about Kane, best number 9. Duncan said Osimhen is better than Kane. Interesting. Gaz says in the 90s there were more strikers because everyone played 2 up. Yeah, different styles, absolutely different styles. Gaza said Rashford over Ollie, Phillips over JJ, Maguire over Konsa. Come on, it's a joke. Exactly. Rachel, the striker pool is much smaller now, more than a quarter than it used to be. Yeah, 100%. I think this is relating to Kane. For how long? He's 39 playing in a lesser league. This is my main problem with Southgate. He'll still be playing Henderson and Maguire when they get their bus pass rather than looking forward. Yeah, and Premier League is much higher standard now. Yes. Deco said to the future and youth. Yes, exactly. We've got Australia. Jonathan, 100% Max, agreeing with you. Role of the striker is different now. Absolutely agree. Do you know what was interesting as well? And for Brighton, they play that real man-to-man style. And I remember when I was coaching, one of the kind of my mentors in coaching, he actually employed that style in non-league football. And this is like 10, 12 years ago now, 10, 15 years ago. And when he went around like academies talking about it, man-to-man style, strikers up front covering, like the striker would run and do doggies basically between the fullback and the centre half, and the other one would do between the fullback and the other centre half. He was kind of laughed out of academies, and now it's funny to see like teams operate in that system. Like the strikers have to put in so much work now in terms of like closing down. It's absolutely crazy, and I wouldn't say that it's like in some ways the physical aspect of what they're asking these players to do is in some ways contributing to the number of injuries that they're getting, because the number of like kilometers they have to run like consistently, and then just the sprints that they've got to do in the hope that they win the ball or they get a ricochet or get an interception is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, we negated that man-to-man style by basically playing over it and then winning the second ball. Because once you're free of that man that you're marking, it ends up being your fullbacks that are the spare men. So then one of them has to come in on one side, or one of them has to come in on the other, and then obviously that then opens up space behind. It's fairly similar to how Bielsa did it at Leeds. It's so attacking. It's so good when it works, but once you get a couple of goals against it, it's easy to you can see why they lose, by 3 or 4 or 5, and obviously 6 that we got them at.
Yeah, I did a piece on it this morning. I was just looking at it. We kind of stepped off them and let them kind of have the ball. They kind of the first 10 or so minutes they kind of were able to pass around us. Then we kind of dropped off at one point, and they were kind of lack of ideas in terms of trying to of where to go. We kind of just let them pass it between themselves, and they were just kind of ended up passing it around back to side to side. It wasn't really going anywhere. And then with the long ball, it was just literally get it onto try and find Zaniolo, and half the time he would be nowhere near it to be over, and Watkins was in behind again. It felt like that happened quite a lot. So, and I didn't see that because that was the kind of thing I was certain would be picked up on like Match of the Day and stuff like that, but it just wasn't. I thought it was such an obvious thing that we did that just exploited them. I think it was Webster, especially in the first half, was getting caught out every single time by Martinez's long pass. I think Martinez made more long passes against Brighton than he has in the last 2 games combined. I think it was against Palace. He only made 5 long passes, and Brighton he made 27. So it was clearly a change in idea for that game anyway.
Yeah, and it was almost like it didn't matter if Zaniolo or anyone won the header, because we kind of won the midfield battle with like Luiz and Kamara. It was actually really pleasant to see us winning the midfield battle, which was interesting. Yeah. So yeah, a few more comments. Really randoms in the house. Good evening, mate. And Michael's in the house. Hello, mate. Great to have you on board. Jonathan said, "Let's see a full season of Ollie with King Emery." There's people debating Matt Letizia as well, which is interesting. Jonathan said, "Sam would have had Luiz out the door not that long ago. Players can be improved, 100%, 100%, and all that matters is Emery rates him." Look, we're there to be as supporters. We'll always have an opinion, and then we're either there to be proved right in that opinion or proved wrong in that opinion. The players, they're the ones who go out and do it, right? And they either take the coach's words on board and go out and improve, whether that be individually or as the team, or they or they don't, and they get replaced. So it's one of them. Yeah.
If we just came on every week and said that we loved everybody, it wouldn't be very interesting.
Yeah, no, I know.
we'll just sat here and talked about how much we love everybody.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah, exactly. Michael said Watkins will get 20 plus, and you have money on it, Michael. I know you do. Really random said Watkins has dry spells, but we've got to be honest, no one can replace his work rate. And if he was more clinical, he wouldn't be at Villa. I think he can become more efficient. I think that's basically my opinion. I think for where we are, I keep saying it, but for the level that Villa are at the moment, he is perfect for where we're at. If he scored more goals, he wouldn't be here. And as I said before, the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea have come asking or sniffing around. So he must be doing something right. And at the moment, we seem like a more attractive proposition to him. So, yeah, it's great. It's great. You're right, Rich. We're never happy. We're not fickle. We just don't like you. Yeah, remember that. We're allowed to criticise if it's fair and honest. Watkins is elite for me, but needs to polish his finishing to be more consistent. Tony is a natural finisher, says Adamski. Yeah. Well, Tony could be up for transfer in January. Would you take an Ivan Tony in January?
He's heavily linked with basically everybody at the minute, which is weird considering he hasn't played for basically it'll be 6-7 months, I think, by the time he comes back. So it seems a weird one to me for him to be so heavily linked. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's, especially from how much he would be, I feel like it's a risk for me. I think we need somebody. I just don't. I mean, it sounds mental. I just don't think it makes sense. I think because in theory he could take. He's been out for as I say, 7 months. He could come back and not score for ages, and then he's going to be 60, 70 million, if not more, from Brentford. So I think I'd take him. Obviously, if he signed tomorrow, I'd be more than happy. But I'm not sure it's the kind of person that we're ever going to sign.
Yeah. Well, comments coming in. Gaza says take Tony all day. Really random said yes, defo I would, but I also think Duran is going to be deadly in front of goal as he grows. Gaz says Tony is better than Watkins in my opinion, but not enough to pay the fee needed. Yeah, AVFC US says I'd take Tony. Rub P said we can't afford Tony, unfortunately. And Adamski says Watkins out left, Tony is central.
That was always the problem with Gerrard, that Watkins was on the wing and he didn't work.
No. I think where Watkins has really improved is how Emery has simplified his game. He still does that work rate, but he's kind of mostly within that penalty box channels. And you saw the goal he scored, the second goal he scored is in that, his favourite is that left-hand channel, inside left position, cuts in front of one of the defenders and then finishes it. And that's kind of his favourite type of goal. It's almost like a FIFA goal.
Yeah. But as I say, it didn't work under Gerrard, so I don't know why. It's just It's like
we don't
I understand
we don't use the G word. Yeah.
I understand where people are coming from saying it, but I just think it's it also, and then Adam said 2 strikers there. I just think it's the way we're playing at the minute is to have Diaby as that number 10 almost, and then a striker, and I think it works. So I don't. If it's not broke, don't fix it at the minute. If it comes to January and we're not scoring as many goals or whatever like that, then yeah, I think it could be possible. But I just at the minute, I think like it's going to be, if we do sign a striker, it's going to be someone that's going to be able to be happy playing as a second string. Because look, as I say, it didn't work with Danny Ings because he was when we signed him, he was 20 goal a season striker, and then all of a sudden he was second to Watkins. So you can't. I think it was Sam that said about Wilson and Isak at Newcastle, but in my mind, I don't think it will work.
Well, one of them's always injured, so Eddie Howe hasn't really had that problem to deal with for too long. And Wilson's one of those. He's one of those kind of unique strikers where he'll come on, particularly at home. He'll come on with like 20 minutes to go and score a goal. And Newcastle play with that intensity as well, where once they get one, they just go after it. They go after it. So it's quite a good system for them to have those 2 strikers that can operate like that. Marine Boy says Emery will find a gem striker in Spain or Portugal. And Rub says, yeah, we should expect more a striker coming from a league like the Eredivisie, La Liga, or the Belgian league, or potentially German league. Rachel said Tony scores pens, so that's why numbers are better than Ollie. Adam says we need a better backup than Durant, and we're good. Gaz says Diaby and Watkins is working fine, and only Brighton have scored more. Still think we need to improve defensively. Yeah, I agree. I think the signs are there. And as we say, like in terms of other players contributing, I think Bailey scored 3 or 4 in the Prem. Louisa scored 3 in the Prem. Diaby scored 2. Watkins has now scored 4. Ramsey scored 1. McGinn scored 1. So we have got goals in the side. So yeah, that's not a bad shout at all. David, I 100% agree with you. Neto at Wolves would be a better signing than Tony. Really like Neto. And there was a room. Graham Bailey was reporting that Villa, Arsenal, and I think it might be Atletico Madrid are looking at Pedro Neto at the moment. I'd love him. I'd love Neto at Villa. I think he's a class player, absolutely class player. So yeah, Deco said better backup keeper as well. Adamski, I've tried to back Olsen, but he never fails in failing to impress. Yeah, what happens if Watkins or Diaby go down injured? Yeah, it's just one of those that we've got to cope with at the moment. Adamski said we need a Defoe type veteran who can score but doesn't always play and doesn't mind. I like Mikel Antonio, but he's been getting in at West Ham.
Yeah, I'm not a fan personally.
Just for that kind of like player who knows the game, knows the Prem, early 30s, doesn't mind like coming in or coming out of the side, and would be effective, I think.
Well, they all say he's like David Moyes' son, so I don't think we get any anytime soon.
Yeah, don't mean he'll come. Gary said Abraham back for me. Young, good work rate as well. Gaz Oak said Neto is always injured. Yeah, he has had his injury problems, but the way he's playing at the moment is phenomenal. How's Diaby's injury? Did he get injured on?
He went down the tunnel, but he'd walked off. He walked to the bench
Right.
first, and then went down the tunnel. So it didn't look like anything to me. Because Kamara went down the tunnel as well, but didn't say anything after the game. So I can't imagine there's anything going on there.
Yeah. Adamski, Rich. I was going to say him. There we go. I like Antonio, but he always starts for West Ham. Yeah.
Get
I
that
agree.
Danny Ings from West Ham. He's always been a good player.
Yeah, don't. Right. So I know we veered off. It always goes into Watkins speak. Always goes into Watkins speak. We have to. But yeah, just to summarise, Watkins, Konsa, possibly Ramsey. Do any of those three get called up on Thursday, Max?
I could see Watkins, and I don't see the other two. So if it's like a 50-50 on Konsa, I don't think it'll happen. But if it did happen, it wouldn't surprise me too much. I don't see a world where Ramsey gets called up though.
Yeah. Gaz has had his event. Good man. That's what we're here for, mate. We love it. Hit the like button, guys. We've got 60 watching at 11 p.m, which is amazing on a Monday night for our fans forum. So thank you so much for your support. Do keep hitting that like button and hit that subscribe button. Help us grow. Like I said, we're getting closer to 2,500, which is brilliant. On the road to 3K. And if you do want to drop us a super chat or become a member of the channel, hit the $sign, follow the instructions from there to join. Just $1.99 a month, or pop in a super chat or a super sticker to help contribute to the channel. So let's talk. I think we had a question about it. The lower grounds.
Oh, please, yes, please.
So where is it? Someone mentioned it. Yeah, Gaz Oak said, "Who went to the lower grounds?" So
Nobody.
Did anyone in the chat go to the lower grounds?
Nobody went to the lower grounds.
And what are your thoughts on it, Max? You seem to be quite passionate about this.
I was passionate about the terrace view, about how much I hate it, and then they've gone and done it again with this lower ground. It's just there's two things. It's the first one is you walk and sit down. I don't know where you were sitting at the game, whatever, but from where I'm sitting in the whole end, you look to the right, and the upper Doug Ellis in the corner had a big empty square of seats which were allocated for the lower grounds. I don't know how, I couldn't really see how many it was, but there was a good 50 plus, if not more. And they're just empty, an empty corner of the stadium. And when you've got this massive waiting list that they always talk about and stuff like that, but they're happy to just have this big empty space, just doesn't make it. Just looks stupid to me as well. I haven't seen inside it because they advertise this £60 to £100 package, but don't show you anything about it. They just give you really vague statements of what you get and stuff like that, but don't show you what you're actually getting for that money. But what I will say is it takes away from the fans who have been going for years. The Hulk Suite has been open as long as I can remember going, and was just an easy place to go before a game that you didn't have to pay for. It was just party season ticket. You'd go in, you'd have a beer or whatever, and then you were just upstairs to go and watch the football. And it didn't cost anything, and it was always packed. It was always rammed, and it was just a good place to go. But then now, it's just this. They've made it into another corporate thing that you got to pay £60 to get into. Went into the Holt pub opposite the Holt end afterwards, and they said they've never seen that so busy, and that we're having to turn people away from getting into there because people were using that as a different option. But it just shows the want and demand of just a place to go. They couldn't even let people into the Holt pub in the end because so many random new people were going in there, and it's so out of touch. It really is. It's just greed and after greed every week. It feels like it just.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're doing it because it doesn't know. Like you can't put out a questionnaire and then say, "Oh, what do you want to change about the Holt end? Oh, we'd like safe standing. We'd like better service, quicker service." Okay, we listened to what you said, and here's 2 overpriced hospitality rooms to go in. Just strange. I don't understand it.
I agree. I think there's a couple of points. We'll come to the survey thing in a bit because we'll talk a little bit on that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with hospitality and corporate, it's almost like a half-assed attempt to make already kind of tired buildings like posh. It's almost like it's like polishing a turd almost. Like you've basically made the same room a tiny little bit better and charged people like 10 times more for like almost the same facility. And then what you haven't done is you haven't improved any of the facilities for the people that are like who aren't paying to access that area. So I wouldn't have minded so much if they'd have said, right, well, we're going to do this set of improvements on the normal facility. But then what we're also going to do though is we're going to build this we're going to build this amazing building that is then going to charge like 50, 60, £100 for this. I would have coped with that, but they've actually in the same breath they've made the facilities for the normal support in quotes worse, and they've made and then they've charged more for the same level of service. They've made the same level of service actually like 20 times more expensive. So I mean, hats off to Villa for doing it. It's amazing. It's an amazing sleight of hand. You can make the service worse for normal supporters, and
And
then
charge more.
charge more for the
I
same
mean,
service that
a
we're
season
already getting. It's
a season
unreal.
ticket a season ticket has gone up 30% in 3 years, but the amount of benefit you get for that's gone down.
Yeah,
It's insane. You go for it like so. You used to get access to the Holt pub, the
whole
Holt
suite.
suite.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was more
there
open
was a cup
space
game
for.
included, like back in the
There was bigger.
day. Yeah,
There
yeah,
was
yeah.
more space in the concourse, and now they've gone. Okay, we're charging £900 for a season ticket, which in the Championship was 400 odd, and we're going to give you less space in the concourse, and you can't go in these areas unless you pay. You'd think that a season ticket was about £300. The way they go on about it's only £60 to add on this. It's £900 for a season ticket. Like that is it's an insane amount of money for what it is, and then they're expecting people to spend money, like to spend extra money, and that's like Gary in the comments just now just saying they've got to they've got to match FFP in commercial areas and stuff like that. But there's ways of going about it. They've got the hospitality places already. The whole end is one of the most historic places in English football as a whole, and they've put in signs like I don't know if my uncle's watching, but he'd love me to. There's signs on the whole end they've put now for the terrace view in the lower grounds that look like they were made with a pen and paper and just stuck on this
Yeah,
big
well,
historic brick
yeah,
building, and it's like one of the most beautiful things. Like then it's just these tacky plastic signs that have been put on, and it's
absolutely. I agree.
just
Well, Garrett Gaz Oaks has put in. Um, where's he put? He said like there was pictures on X or Twitter about it, and it seriously it looked like he said it looked rubbish. It was basically like a long rows of benches with like a higher bench above where you put your drinks, and you were just sitting in these long rows. And then they had like some balloons around, like a pull-up sign saying like the lower grounds, and then some screens. And I'm thinking like, well, what are you watching on these screens?
But
Because
the,
there's no games on because it's the early kickoff. So is it just watching like old Villa stuff? And then then it was like street food stalls where you could get some food, and then it was like obviously different drinks that you got in the price. And then like I think a couple of players came out and did a bit of a meet and greet on the stage,
but
but
there's
it's
I
just for
just,
me, it's
the
not what it. And,
the whole
and
suite.
you're right. Sorry, you're right. In terms of the empty seats, there's an empty block in the Trinity and an empty block in the Doug Ellis, and
Yeah,
those seats are reserved for that specific ticket. So they're not even getting resold to like supporters. Like if they put a deadline and said like, okay, lower grounds is available until Friday at 12, right? And then for the remaining 24 hours, like they then went back to general sale. Okay, but like you're just going to end up having like it was like just over 40,000, so you're losing about 1,000 people going to the game. The whole thing just doesn't make any sense.
but in my mind, I mean, I don't know a lot about finance and all that kind of thing, but I just imagine, surely, if the whole suite stayed as it was, because it was hospitality technically before, because there was people that paid to be in there to have their own table and have food in there. So but a season ticket holder could go in there to use the bar. So it was technically hospitality before, but anyone could go in, and then so they were making money off it before. But I mean, surely if it was still open and they were making, let's say, however many people go in there and have a pint or two, that's like an extra £10 extra per person on top of their match ticket or their season ticket, whatever. Surely that's more than having 30 people paying £60 for the get per game. It just doesn't make any sense in my mind. I don't understand. It just feels like they're more and more out of touch every week at the minute.
Mm. So, so at the moment they've got this lower grounds that is £60 to upgrade your season ticket for that one match, or £120 in total for the ticket. And I guess the seats are either Doug Ellis or Trinity. And then you've got the terrace view, which you get access to up in the upper end of the whole end, which you don't get any. Do you get any free drinks in
I think you get a
in the
drink.
terrace view?
I think you get one when you come in and one at half time or something
Okay,
like
so you
that.
get two free drinks, and obviously in the upper hole, and that's. I got off. I had the chance to buy the season ticket with that. It's about £1,500, wasn't it? Um, yeah, like I say, in some senses, I haven't got an issue with the terrace view or whatever. My issue is that you can't charge people like ridiculous, like more money for the same facility, like maybe you throw in a couple of extra drinks in there, and then make the facilities worse for the normal supporter who's had to pay 30% extra for their ticket. That just does not make that doesn't make any sense to me. And obviously Gaza said, like at least the football's improved in 3 years. I agree. It's a good bloody job. The football's improved.
But there's
It's a good job.
Gaz Oaks has just said, when you said the two free drinks, said they're not free drinks, you pay for them.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Gaz. Yeah,
We're
you bloody
talking about,
paid for them
oh,
already.
you
Yeah,
get two free
yeah,
drinks coming
yeah,
in. You got to pay £60 to come in.
yeah. Exactly, exactly. Flying without being said, it's ridiculous how expensive it is. NUFC are going to be adding the stack, and I'm pretty sure that will be free entry, and it's pretty much the same thing as the lower ground. I agree, mate. I mean, I obviously live in Newcastle. I see what they're doing around the community. The stack, it used to be another area of the city centre, was brilliant. Like loads of these containers that are like individual street food places, individual bars, live music. If they get that going in and around the ground where Newcastle is, like it'll be phenomenal. And then they charge like 15 quid a ticket, I think, for the Carabao Cup game against Man City.
And
And we
50% off
yeah,
food and drink
yeah,
at the
50,
ground.
yeah. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just honestly, whoever's in this commercial department is just ridiculous.
I do wonder if there's anyone at the club that was still here from 10, 15 years ago because I'm not being funny, but in the Premier before we got relegated and in the Championship, they couldn't beg people enough to buy tickets and
This is what I said.
half
This is
season
what I said the other
tickets
week. This is what I
and
said
stuff
the
like
other
that.
week.
But then
Yeah,
all of a
yeah.
sudden now they're just doing anything they can to get an extra few quid off people, and they don't seem to be listening to people. Is the thing that just annoys me more. Like the thing with the badge, it's just like they're sending out things today to season ticket holders to like a survey about a new badge again. But we just did that. We just had that vote last year for a new badge.
Yeah,
But
well,
now all
again, it's half done, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like we didn't
basically
quite
you
like the decisions that you made last year.
yeah
So what we're going to do is we're
yeah
going to give you some more parameters about how to make the decision, and basically you're going to make the decision that we want you to make. That's essentially what it is. Look,
yeah. We don't like.
I'm not one that cares too much about badges. I'm
I
not
don't
interested
yeah
in it. Like it doesn't bother me
I don't mind, but
really.
it's just
It's
the fact that they've made it a big thing last year and then they've gone. We don't know. You've made the wrong choice here. Vote again. Have another vote. It's just stupid. It's just they're just
mm,
so it feels just like so out of touch. I know we talked about Perslow before, and he made his mistakes and whatever else, but at least he seemed to have some form of understanding of what people actually
good
wanted.
commercial sense. He had good commercial sense. A lot of people saying that this was his idea though, but I don't think he would have done the same thing in terms of the charges. I think he would have done something different with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
saying. I think he understands who the fan. I know. I don't know anything about this Chris Heck. Is it the American
mm,
guy? But it seems. I don't know if it's. And I don't even know if that's his job to change those kind of things. But it feels like something has changed in that sense. I mean,
mm.
someone just said the current badge looks like Chelsea, but I mean, it's a badge with a line on it. I mean, it's always going to look like it looks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I will go through some comments. Got loads. I think I just had someone from Deco that said they'll be bringing in pound to go to to the turnstiles to get out soon. They will, mate, and they'll charge you to go to use the toilets, which are disgusting anyway. So
Oh.
yeah, they'll charge you a quid to use the toilet. I bet. Rage said the balance is wrong at the moment for the off-field decisions. I agree. Gaza said if it works and people buy into it, you can understand it. But seeing all those empty seats, it obviously isn't working. Um, really random says I think it's more of a symptom of the change between Perzo, etc. They will fix that. Surely it wasn't deliberate. I hope not. I hope not.
It has to
Yes,
be.
yeah.
You
Still,
don't.
Newcastle owners can get stuffed. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Marine Boy said against Liverpool and Man United, the lower grounds will be sold out. I'm sure it will for the big games. I'm sure it will. Flying Without Mings says I live in Newcastle as well and used to go to the Stack. I would never pay to use a space like that before a match. Exactly, mate. I agree. I agree with you. The
But
badge is
people,
a farce, says
I
Gazza.
will say,
Yeah.
I can say, the stuff like the lower grounds, people, it's the price is the thing that makes it worse because, like a general fan might pay. I don't know. Let's say it's a big game, like people are saying, like United or like a for Brighton on Saturday. People go out for a drink after an early kick off on a Saturday.
Mm,
But you could have paid, let's say, like 15, 20 quid to go into there and you got a drink on entry and that kind of thing, and you could stay after the game for as long as you wanted or for a few hours, people would go in there. People would go into these places because people,
well, the Tottenham main stand at
yeah,
Tottenham's got that bar in
people
it.
would pay for
It's
that
free. Well,
convenience to
not
be.
free, but it's just part of the part
Yeah,
of the stand. Yeah.
you'd stay. People would stay after and stay in the ground, and that's just more money for the club. But and then and people would pay less money for that kind of thing because people pay to go into the Aston Social and the Aston Tavern after a game anyway. So
Hmm.
people are paying that, but they're spending it outside the club. If they just had some sense and just said this lower grounds thing after the game, it's a tenner to come in and use the bar, people might not be as bothered. It's when you can't charge people £60 for what is basically some food and two drinks. It's just insane.
Yeah, because there's only so much time you've got to drink the drinks as well. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Gary says success comes at a price, and the fans will always suffer for it financially. I agree. So yeah, I think it's don't give them ideas, says Gaz. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Uh, I agree, mate. I agree. Yeah, we have to increase hospitality income, but this isn't the way. I do hope they listen. I really do.
They
And like
won't.
maybe it is a situation where it's a temporary solution until this warehouse thing's built and all that sort of stuff is coming through, and then they can maybe spread out the corporate side of things a little bit more.
I can I can see
Yeah.
the lower grounds being changed in the future, but that the terrace view is there to stay. That's a purpose built brand new thing. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of comments coming in around the. This will probably be our last couple of points for tonight, because we've been with 20 past 11, but yeah, we've still got 60 people watching, which is unreal. But yeah, just in terms of the kit and we talked the badge a little bit. A few people saying that they agree with changing the badge. Looks a bit too much like Chelsea's, and fine. But in terms of the kits, obviously there's been a huge controversy last week around the quality of the kit. It looks like we've agreed to end the partnership with Castore early. I put a tweet out the other day with a bit of a kind of survey, and it was overwhelmingly, it was about 60% Adidas. Lots of people saying Adidas in here, but more. There's also people saying that we might not be able to get them because of Nassif's kind of links to Adidas. I don't know how true that is or how not. But yeah, what are your thoughts with regards to the kit kit maker? Who do you want, and are you that bothered?
Well, I think seeing all this stuff about branding and all that kind of thing with like the new badge and stuff, I can see it being Nike because of the American link, and also because if you look at a lot of clubs, like especially higher up clubs, they are the king of building brand. Like look at PSG. They've got I know we're never going to be that big and whatever, but they've got shops in London and New York and all that kind of thing because they're just a brand. PSG is just a brand now. They're not like most people don't even look at them as a football club in some places. So I think Nike would be, and obviously going back to Nike from 2000, the late 2010s and all that kind of thing. So I think that would be cool. I mean, Adidas would be ideal as well. I think any of them. I think we just need to go to I'd like to see is with Adidas or Nike rather than, because it feels like we've kind of been, for years, we've been kind of bouncing around these not second rate kind of things.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like Under
Kappa,
Armour,
Castore, Under Armour. Yeah.
I would like to see us with or even Puma, I wouldn't mind because for maybe
more established name for a
saw someone saying about Hummel, but I'm pretty sure they're not a thing anymore in the UK.
I think they've got. I think they do a couple of kits. I know they do Southampton.
Because they still do Everton, but they had to change. Is it Bristol City? Because I don't know if it was a certain branch of Hummel went bust or something like that.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know but then again, they still do Everton, I think. So who knows?
Marine Boy wants Fred Perry.
What's up, Luke?
Who said Luke? Gaza said Luke. Wish you could bring back Luke.
It just wasn't sustainable, though, was it?
No,
that was the problem with it. And and it's becoming as more and more. If you look, the kits aren't the best quality moving forward. There's a lot of people with shirts that are the sponsors all cracked and the badges coming off and stuff.
I think that's a bad one for most kit suppliers. There's obviously specific ways you've got to wash them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was. But the Luke one was just the problem with supply and demand, wasn't it?
Yeah. Brilliant kits.
Yeah.
Rod says Castore is weird. Why not just listen to the customer and fix the issue? So strange they just shrugged it off. Yeah, I think they're one of those companies where they got so many different kits. There's so many different clubs now that they can make the kits for. I think they just drop one off and then go to someone else. I think Everton have signed with them for next season.
It's just a weird thing because it didn't seem to happen to anyone else. This weird cling film shirts. It was
there's slightly different technology, or
so you watch
it'd be material that they use.
Newcastle and Wolves seem to be alright, and then as soon as you watch a Villa game, it's like everyone's playing on a slipping slide.
I know. But to be fair, Newcastle fans have moaned a lot about the quality of the kit, and Wolves fans I think have moaned a lot about the quality of the kit. I think they've got out of the deal, or Newcastle got out of the deal early. Yeah. So they think they're just one of those that they probably offer really good commissions. They probably offer really good percentages on the kit, so clubs are going to take it because they can make more money out of it on a short-term deal. But I wouldn't be surprised. I know we said kind of second-rate brands, but I actually wouldn't mind a New Balance kit. I really wouldn't.
I don't know. I haven't seen them do anything since Liverpool.
Yeah.
What do they do? They're still. I didn't even know they still make it.
No, I don't know. I just quite like New Balance. I just quite like them for a kit. But Gaz Oaks had my thoughts. Don't really care too much about the name, just something that's of decent quality. I think that's the thing. But yeah, I wouldn't mind a Nike or an Adidas or a Puma
So so
just to go for.
anniversary in the year next year as well. So whoever it is has got some easy notes to use.
So what? Sorry, say that again, mate.
So anniversary, it's like 150th anniversary in it next year. So
Ah,
next
right.
season.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
they've
Well,
got
it's got to be a good kit. Yeah,
literally
it's got.
just make it as a retro shirt, and you've got a winner. So
You've got a winner. Yeah. Go back to that Umbro one that we had the 92-93 season with like the
the rope, the
yeah,
rope.
yeah, yeah. Go back to that one. I love that one. Yeah. Really random. Said everyone told me, oh, it's just hot in the USA with our kit, but I knew they had a problem. Soaked in 10 minutes. Dan Rollinson had the kit expert on. He said it will affect performance. It has to. It has to. Even just a little tiny bit. It has to. Um. What else have we got? Yeah. Listen to Rob Warner, says Rachel. He is the expert on these things. Absolutely. Dale said Villa's kit moved to China for manufacturing. Others stayed in Turkey. Maybe that's got to be some issue with that. Yeah, Umbro rocked. Yeah. Marine Boy wants a collar back on the new shirt. Gaza says Asics from the 90s. Yeah, I remember those kits. Yeah. Aurelio, new kits need to be knitted. Harks back. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. I thought I remember something in holding stuff. Oh yeah, I think Gerard's got something to do, or he knows the people that own it, or something. Yeah, yeah. Well, look, it's going to be interesting. I do think you're right there, Max. I do make you right. Nike or Adidas, I think it'll end up being in some way, shape, or form, or maybe Puma. But it'd be good. It'd be good to have an established name again. And I think a lot of people talk about the sponsor as well. If there's something that the club can do around that as well. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Um, last little topic before we go. I've got maybe one or two questions from viewers around the women's team. I don't know if you caught the game yesterday. It was on BBC Two. I have to say, I know they've got a couple of injuries. I think they really missed. Um, they really missed Maz Pacheco and the midfielder. The name has escaped me. Kenza Dali. They really
Yeah.
missed Kenza Dali and Mas Pacheco in obviously on at fullback and in central midfield respectively. But I was slightly underwhelmed with Villa, I have to say. Like I thought the keeper was fantastic, but I thought I know it was first game of the season and all that. But yeah, I thought some of the passing was poor. Expecting a little bit more from one or two of the players as well. I don't know what you thought.
It seemed like Man United. It was just like very Man United. It felt like of yesteryear. Just went. Felt like it was a bit of a nothing. It felt like a draw was happening. It just looked like it was going to be it, and then it looked like we snuck. It felt like a 0-0, snuck a 1-0, and then they've scored two in like 10 minutes, and they've won it. It felt like a very Man United kind of game. I mean, so when we're talking about Watkins, get Rachel Daly playing in the men's. Just
Yeah,
score
great finish.
just
Great
scores
finish.
all the time. It's just, I mean, it is. I'd still will never understand why she plays left back for England, but I mean that's different topic all on its own. I think.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think there'll be one or two players that are coming back to fitness. Like I say, I think is it Parker who was in the midfield who kind of drove through for the goal. I thought she got into the game as it went on. Thought she did much better as the game went on. I think Corsi was excellent at the back. I think it was the young player Blinkilda. She came off at half
Yeah,
time. She was off the pace a bit. I think maybe just a bit too much for that game. I thought the Canadian international who came on second half, thought she did okay. But yeah, I think they'll need to kind of I think the pressure's on a little bit with Villa. I really do because they've managed to keep hold of Daly, and I think they would have needed to give her some sort of like assurances that they're going to push on this season because she's given them one more season. Um, so yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of pressure on, and now there's more. You know, it's fantastic that there's over 12,000 there. It's great that they've put fans now behind the Holt end, and then fans in the Trinity, which is brilliant. There's only going to be more if they keep getting results. It's going to be like 20 odd thousand there, I'm sure, at games, which would be phenomenal. I think there's 55,000 there at an Arsenal game as well. So with that comes that little bit of extra pressure, comes that bit of extra scrutiny. So yeah, I think I think you're right in what you're saying. Man United had the players to come on at the big moments and score, and Villa just didn't quite have enough. I know the sending off had an impact, but it felt like that was going to happen. Felt like that was going to happen all the way through the game. To be honest,
I mean,
you always thought United were going to score late on.
should have had a penalty as well, though. Actually, if
Yeah, was it
Letizia
Letizia?
one,
Yeah,
yeah, that was very
like the
dodgy.
ref made some dodgy decisions. To be fair,
Yeah, I
um,
mean, I don't know. It was nice to see on BBC as well. I think that's
it was
always
it was like I say, but it was a decent game. I just thought that they like when I saw when they were, I know it's first game of the season and all that, so you got to give it a little bit of time. Obviously, the men's team lost 5-1 to Newcastle in the first game of the season, so let's not like throw the baby out with the bathwater. But from when I
I
saw them
mean,
last season, the passing looked crisp.
yeah,
The players looked like they were really on the same wavelength. It just seemed a bit too. It seemed a bit sloppy for me. It seemed a little bit like yeah. I want to see them having pushed on from last season. Mate, hopefully it'll take a couple of games to get that, but I just want them
it
to
is
push
fair.
on.
It is nice because I remember I went and seen them quite like years ago. I'm talking when they played at Bolmis St Michael's around the corner for like all their games in a season, and now they're playing Villa Park on BBC Two. So it is nice.
Yeah, it was 12,500 there as well, which is great because it just means that they'll be able to pump more money in and kind of keep improving. Gaza says Maz is a massive miss for any team. What else have we got? Rachel said we were good for large periods, but we just couldn't control the midfield. The defending for their goals was bad too. Yeah, yeah, I thought that player did well though. Is it Garcia who plays for Man United? I thought she was the
Yeah,
best player on the pitch by
scored
quite a
the goal.
distance. Yeah, yeah. And I think they need to find a way. I really do think they miss Darley, but if they need to find a way of not leaving Daly so isolated. They need to get
Yeah,
her in the game a lot more because she's obviously going to be able to score a lot of goals. And I don't want to see like I think even the teams lower down in the league, I think they've improved quite considerably from what I've heard. Obviously, Liverpool beat Arsenal.
yeah,
I think Tottenham only just lost to Chelsea. Brighton, I think, have improved a lot. So the teams that Villa could have beaten fairly comfortably last season they're not gonna be able to do it so much this season. So they really need to. Yeah, I think the next games are really crucial for them. I think it might be Liverpool they've got on the weekend.
yeah.
Um,
Liverpool away, then Arsenal away.
yeah, they need a win. They need a win and need a win fast. Gary said big season for Carla Ward. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Gary said the players are aging. They need some young ones in there. I think they've signed a. Yeah, well, I mean, even their new signings have been like 30, 31. So, interesting. Rod said not convinced by Carla. I want her to succeed, but I'm not sure she can change the game like other head coaches. Hopefully, this season proves me wrong. Um, was the lower grounds open? I don't think it was. I don't think it was for this game. No. Letizia body slam Salmon at least needed a card. Is there a new Letizia? Yeah, yeah, yeah. we already went through the debate about Letizia. The chat is crazy tonight. The chat is absolutely crazy. Yeah, talking about the other Letizia. Yeah, but yeah, Liverpool next for the Villa women. So let's hope they get the win. But yeah, brilliant to be on BBC. Brilliant for the attendance. I just wanted to see a little bit more because they haven't beaten United. I know they beat them on penalties, like in that Continental Cup, but they haven't beaten them yet. And they keep getting so close to doing it, but they just haven't managed to do it. But yeah, let's hope they push on. Quick word on Louis Barry. 7 in 7 for Stockport. 20 years old. Is there still life? Is there still hope for Louis Barry? What are we saying?
Well, he's finally found his feet somewhere. It's only taken what feels like years and years since he joined, and he was so highly rated coming in as well. It's just good to see. I mean, it's good to see anyone on loan doing well. So I don't think I want him being brought back and sent on loan somewhere else. I think just
No, stay where he's good. Yeah,
leave him where
stay
he
where
is.
he's doing
It
well.
never never really seems to go well a lot of the time when you do that to players. So I feel like keep him where he is. Maybe get him in the Championship or something next season. You never know when things can go from there. I mean, you never know. Can't ever look too far ahead in football nowadays, anyway, because you never know. Could be out injured tomorrow and not play for the rest of the season. So I just gotta hope he carries on scoring.
Yeah. Well, he's doing well. I mean, it's and like I say, with all due respect, it's Stockport. He's 20. Aurelio Gomez, Barry's 20. Whatever's best for him. Yeah, Gaz, I agree. But yeah, he is. I think it's the best goal scoring run since in post-war history. So yeah, I think it's really good for now. But let's see how he goes. And then I think Finn Azaz, I think he played well. Another good game on Saturday. Nearly scored.
He's always looked good. He played pre-season under a certain manager that shall not be named, and he looked. I always thought he looked really good, and then just got sent back out on loan to League One. So I
think he fetches us. I think at the very least he fetches us 5-6 million.
Yeah, I think he might have just come in to a bit older than maybe he might need to be to get a look in. Maybe I think he's like 23, 24 now. I think he might have been just past the age where he's going to get a great chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is us done. Really good debate, guys.
I've got a well done from
any more.
Don't know what that's for.
See if there's any more else to cover. No, I think we're done. We've covered Watkins, we've covered England, we've covered the lower grounds, we've covered the kit, we've covered the badge, we've covered the Villa women. I think we've covered everything. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. This is what we want on these shows. Just going off on random tangents, random debates, getting involved in the chat. You guys getting involved in the chat together, debating, which is brilliant. That's what the fans forum is for. Hit the like button though, guys, please, on your way out. Hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. Let's get more people involved in the fans forum on a Monday night. Monday night is fans forum night on the Villa Park pod. We're going to be back with plenty more content for the week because there's plenty more games to come this week. So we've got Talking Tactics still with Gareth to come, so don't miss that one. We've got Deco, please don't. Please don't. Sorry, turn of phrase. Sorry about that. We've got Talking Tactics to come. We've got preview show with for the game on Thursday. I always forget what they're called. What's this team called that we're playing on Thursday?
Zrinski.
There we go. Zrinski. Match preview for Zrinski. Match reaction for FC Zrinski. We've got the Giants of European football. We've got match preview for Wolves for the big game on Sunday, and then obviously match reaction to Wolves as well. So loads of content to come. You know where to get us. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Max, thank you so much for joining me. Guys, thank you so much in the comments, and have a great night. And remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks all.
Up and running, and Villa Park is loud.